Welcome back to AllAboutRx. Today, we're simplifying the gross anatomy of the eye. By the end of this explainer, you're going to have the structure, the layers, and the muscles completely locked down for your upcoming exams, turning what is honestly a complex biological masterpiece into high-yield, memorable facts.
So, here's our top-down framework for today. We'll be covering the 3 eyeball layers, the retina and eye contents, the extraocular muscles, and finally, wrapping up with the lacrimal apparatus and support systems.
All right, let's jump right into part 1, the 3 eyeball layers. Think of the eye as a sphere, right? And it's protected by bone, eyelids, and fat. But when we look at the wall of the eyeball itself, we actually categorize it into 3 concentric coats, working perfectly together, kind of like the blueprints of a high-tech camera. We can break those 3 layers down pretty simply. On the outside, you've got the fibrous coat, which is your dense connective tissue made up of the sclera and the cornea. Then in the middle is the vascular coat, or the uvea, containing the choroid, the ciliary body, and the iris, which regulates the pupil. And finally, on the inside, there's the sensory nervous coat, better known as your retina. Now, to actually anchor these layers in your memory, you really just need one simple mnemonic: protect, nourish, perceive. The fibrous coat protects, the vascular uvea nourishes, and the nervous retina perceives the light. Protect, nourish, perceive. Super easy to remember. Okay, before we dive into the inner contents of the eye, let's test your active recall with a classic exam trap. I see this one all the time. Which 2 eye structures have absolutely no blood supply? Any guesses? If you said the transparent anterior cornea and the biconvex lens, you absolutely nailed it. They are completely avascular. And, that makes perfect sense when you think about it. If they had blood vessels running right through them, our vision would be constantly obscured. Moving right along to section 2, the retina and eye contents. Inside that nervous coat, the retina, we find our photoreceptors. And there's a brilliant division of labor going on here. You've got rods, which act kind of like your night vision goggles for dim light. And then you have cones, which are your high-definition cameras for color vision and sharp visual acuity. For your flashcards, there are a few major retinal landmarks you need to know. First up is the macula lutea. This is your main hub for direct central sight. When you look right at something to focus on it, you're using your macula. Dead center inside that macula is a tiny depression called the Fovea centralis. This spot is absolutely packed with cones, giving you your sharpest possible vision. If you're threading a needle, the fovea is doing all the heavy lifting. Finally, there's the optic disc. This is the exact point where visual impulses are carried to the brain via the optic nerve. Because all that wiring has to exit the eye somewhere, there are no photoreceptors here at all, creating what we call the blind spot. It's a fascinating little design quirk.
All right, let's shift gears to section 3, extraocular muscles and movement.
The physical movement of the eyeball is managed by 6 extraocular muscles. You've got your superior, inferior, medial, and lateral rectus muscles, plus the 2 obliques. Together, they essentially act like highly coordinated puppet strings to pull the globe in different directions. To master the cranial nerve supply for these muscles on exam day, there is a classic medical rule you absolutely must memorize. LR6 SO4, all the rest are 3. That means the lateral rectus is cranial nerve 6, the superior oblique is cranial nerve 4, and the oculomotor nerve, cranial nerve 3, handles everything else. It's literally one of the highest yield mnemonics in all of anatomy. And that brings us to our final section, the lacrimal apparatus and support. The production and drainage of your tears follow a very specific sequential pathway. It starts at the lacrimal gland, where the tears are made, flows into the lacrimal canaliculi, gathers in the lacrimal sac, and finally ends up draining down into the nasal cavity through the nasolacrimal duct. Tracing that exact flow, you can really see how tears wash entirely across that avascular cornea before draining away. This constant fluid motion is exactly what keeps that highly sensitive cornea nourished, oxygenated, and clear of debris. Just as crucial as the tears is the blood supply. This is beautifully divided between the primary ophthalmic artery, which acts as the main pipeline supplying the entire eye, and the highly specialized central retinal artery, which is dedicated specifically to nourishing the retina. Okay, I highly recommend you take a screenshot of this quick recall summary right now. It condenses all of our high-yield anatomy facts into one perfect study cheat sheet. If you can confidently talk through each bullet point here, you're going to be in absolutely great shape for your exams. As you study these individual parts, ask yourself,
How seamlessly must these protective, nourishing, and perceptive layers coordinate in a fraction of a second to transform bouncing light into the miracle of human sight? It's pretty mind-blowing stuff. Keep reviewing these concepts, and we'll see you in the next explainer.